Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. by recognizing the traditional keepers of this land and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the municipality of Brighton is located on the Mississauga-Anishinaabe territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississauga. The Council of the Municipality of Brighton respectfully acknowledges that the Mississauga nations are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. And the first motion is a motion to approve the agenda. It's moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Bateman. The Council approved the September 19th, 2022 Council agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. Members of Council, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? And if so, please state the general nature thereof. And there are none noted. Any announcements this evening? Councillor LeBlanc.
Yes, Your Worship. Saturday, there was a pancake breakfast to raise money for the sign and auxiliary things required for the sign. They were looking to raise $1,000. And I just got the total a few minutes ago. They raised $1,747. It was a great event.
Good work. Thank
It was
you.
a lot of good food. Thank you.
It was a hearty breakfast. It was a good big breakfast.
It was.
Thank you. Anyone else? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. We all know it's Applefest this weekend, and I think everyone has the pamphlet on their desk. The committee and staff did an amazing job this year getting ready for Applefest, and I hope everyone will be able to make it out.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Anderson?
Thank you, Mayor. Today I was fortunate to be invited as a volunteer to the Trent Memorial Hospital Smile Cookie Program. It was in Trenton today. I must have decorated over 1,000 cookies, and I know they've sold thousands. One customer bought 5,000 cookies at $2 a cookie. So I think it was at $2, no, $1 a cookie. But anyhow, fantastic, and it's happening here in Brighton as well. It's for a different cause. I can't recall exactly the cause. I was too wrapped up in what I was doing, but it happens all week, and so everybody get behind it. And the hospital will get some needed medical equipment from this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Anyone else? Councillor Cadman.
Thank you. Well, the rest of you were busy. I was very busy at home making sure that the Queen got a proper funeral. And thank you, Councillor Anderson. You didn't do bad.
It's a sad looking cookie, right?
Yeah. Yep, pretty nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cadman. And just to tag on to that a little bit, the Legion held a short but quite moving, a little more moving than I had thought it would be, memorial service for Her Late Majesty at 11 o'clock in Memorial Park. And it was a pleasure to be able to attend and represent the community there with our friends from the Legion. So we move to the adoption of the minutes. First motion is moved by Deputy Mayor Connect, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc, that Council adopt the September 6th, 2022 Council meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. And a motion moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that Council adopt the September 12th, 2022 planning meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. We have no statutory public meeting this evening. That brings us to the delegations and the presentations. Council will hear both one delegation and one presentation this evening. Presenters and delegates have, presenters have 15 minutes to provide their information and delegates have 10 minutes to provide their information to Council. It's noted that language, content, and conduct must remain respectful at all times. Council will be provided with an opportunity to ask questions of clarification from the delegate and or presenters based on the information that they have presented. Council is reminded that this is not an opportunity to engage in debate with the delegate or the presenter, nor advance a public policy position. Delegates and presenters are reminded that council does not make decisions during the delegation or presentation portion of tonight's meeting. And our first item on this list is a presentation from, I believe it's Jennifer Bishop, Highland Shores Children's Aid Society. Mrs. Bishop. Welcome back to Brighton Council.
Yes, it's been a while. I'm not sure if you've got our PowerPoint or.
If you can share your screen.
I will have to pull mine up.
Would you prefer that we do have it? Would you prefer that we show the presentation?
That would probably be easier. I just would have to take a minute to find it on my laptop. I had thought that it would be up, but that's okay.
It appears that the deputy clerk has it, so
Okay.
we'll share it here.
Okay.
It's a municipal computer, so bear with us. She's working on it. Okay, Jennifer, we can see it. Can you see it on your screen?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
You have the floor. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So good evening, your worship and members of council. My name is Jennifer Bishop. I'm a network development worker with Highland Shores Children's Aid. And I just want to thank you for letting me come and speak about this topic again this year. Just next slide. So as you know, every October, our Children's Aid Society, as well as Children's Aid Societies across Ontario, create awareness around the important roles that communities and individuals in communities play in supporting vulnerable children, youth, and their families. On Dress Purple Day, Children's Aid Societies collaborate with community partners to speak up for children and youth's rights to safety and well-being in all spaces of their lives, and to celebrate the community that cares for kids. So as you can see from the slide, only 20% of our referrals are related to the extreme abuse that most people associate with child welfare. The majority of children and families that are receiving service from Highland Shores is a result of families not being able to meet the children's needs, whether they're physical or emotional needs. Some of the difficulties that families are facing include mental health concerns, addictions, social isolation, trauma, and extreme financial stress. Next slide. So nearly 50% of all substantiated investigations in Ontario involve exposure to intimate partner violence. 21% of substantiated investigations, neglect was identified as the overriding concern, while physical abuse was the primary form of maltreatment in 19% of families. And in 97% of times where we go out and we investigate concerns, we're able to work with these families while keeping the children in the home, meaning that only 3% require out-of-home placement for safety reasons. And our top referrals from the community come from, number one is law enforcement, and then a parent or a custodial parent, and then school or educational personnel like EAs or teachers, that type of thing, and then medical and mental health professionals. Children's Aid Societies investigate referrals from professionals and people in the general public where there's concerns about a caregiver's treatment of a child or youth. These concerns include that a child or youth is experiencing physical, sexual, emotional abuse, or that the child or youth is being neglected. And we often work with families where neglect is the key factor. As said before, families may be struggling with chronic challenges such as the mental health issues, addictions, domestic violence or extreme financial stress. Over the past couple of years, we've had to take a look at how COVID has impacted on service. And we found that people's mental health was precarious. We saw more substance abuse and anxiety in children and youth. Housing was a struggle for a lot of people, both due to the costs and the limited amount of rental units that are available. There's continued worries and calls from schools concerned that that children were not being seen in a long time, or attendance issues in school. There was an increase in domestic violence, parental mental health concerns, and custody and access issues. Community partners were faced with challenges with recruitment to critical supports for children and youth. For example, the respite services that may be used by families. And internet connectivity and high-speed internet access was also a concern, which limited people being able to access different services in the community and for the entire area that we service, and it was also costly for a lot of people to be able to afford the internet services. So what we've learned is we've really had to be creative with ways that we engage with families and how we meet the needs of children and youth in the community. So we've used our parental enrichment program. We work a lot on trying to build natural supports for families through network development. We have an in-house tutoring program that was available to children and youth and families that we're supporting. We've had to be creative with funding and stretching monies in partnership with other community service providers. So cost sharing, prioritizing educational assessments. We've also had to link callers with community agencies to provide services that were needed instead of opening files with Highland Shores. We continue to spend more time with families and being able to help to provide us with a better understanding of what the overall picture was. What do clients need as we're spending more time with them? And we're doing some of the work virtually allowed for some processes to move quicker, like mediation. We were engaged in more training opportunities. We spent less time in court. Meetings could happen quicker, and we were in far more regular contact with our coworkers through Teams meetings and things like that. If you look at this graph, this is the geographical breakdown of families that are receiving ongoing service from Highland Shores. Belleville and Quinte West were, just because of the population size and things like that, they're the higher areas, and then it's broken down. And we can see that Northumberland was the third highest, in Northumberland, not just being the Brighton area, but the areas around Cobourg and Port Hope as well. So what you can do is, if you have any concerns that a child or youth may be in need of protection, please reach out and call for some support from Highland Shores. You can also do things like reach out to neighbors and friends, check in, offer your own support, and know that your call to Highland Shores could lead to the help and support for a child, youth, and their family. So this year, we are asking you to think about why you wear purple. Either make a video, tell everybody why you wear purple on your video, and post it on your social media. Let the community know that you're there to support children, youth, and families. And we are encouraging you to use the hashtag of hashtag I wear purple because on your social media accounts. This year, Dress Purple Day is October 27th. If you're in need of any kind of purple shirts or t-shirts or anything like that, please reach out to our Children's Foundation. Again, this year we are requesting that October be declared as Dress Purple Month, and also if we could put the purple ribbons on all of the lampposts downtown, with a commitment to remove them on October 31st or November 1st. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Bishop, and I will turn the floor over to members of council for questions of clarification. But before I do, I'll just advise that we are going to consider correspondence to consider proclaiming October Dress Purple Month and to consider permission for the ribbons in the downtown area under correspondence in tonight's agenda. So I just offer that information to members of council. Open the floor for questions of clarification. Looks like you've covered it. Well done. Thank you again very much for coming again this year and reminding us about the importance and the important work that the CASs all over Ontario do, but certainly our CAS here in Northumberland and in the Highland Shores area. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
With that, I have a motion moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Deputy Mayor Connect. The council received the presentation from Jennifer Bishop, Highland Shores CAS, regarding proclamation request for October as Dress Purple Month. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. Thank you again, Mrs. Bishop.
Thank you so much. Take care.
And our delegation will be coming from the Brighton Public Library, and I'll call on Heather Ratz, CEO of the library, and Bob Burke, Chair of the board, to offer their delegation.
Unaccompanied with the mom, we're here for a very specific reason. And unaccustomed I am to public speaking, I might be a little nervous here. I would like to say that it's another council, another 4 years gone by. And from the point of view of the board and on behalf of the board,
Bob, can I get you to draw the microphone a little bit closer just for the folks on the virtual meeting? Thank you.
Okay. On behalf of the Library Board of Brighton, I want to thank you, all of the people that are on our council tonight, provide the finance, provide the support, and just a great idea is that how well we all get along together over a number of years. So thank you very much. We certainly look forward to more and more the joining up of the two. And just on a personal note, I want to thank all of you that I have decided that after 12 and a half years, I am not returning to the library board. My wife is not happy about it, but she's going to have to put up with living with me. So it's been a run, and I think we've done a lot, and it hasn't been done by one person or two persons. It's done by a number of council members and a number of councils, period. So thank you again, and thank you personally for all the assistance that I got from all the councils. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm just going to expand a little bit on what Bob has said. I'm not sure that he's actually not coming back, so maybe don't consider that law. On behalf of the Brighton Public Library staff team, I would like to thank Mayor Ostrander and all council members for your support of the library during this term. As a new CEO in January 2019, I didn't know quite what to expect concerning the relationship between the library and this new council. What I've come to learn is that this relationship, this connection, goes well beyond budgets and fiscal responsibility. It's also about collaborating, joining forces, recognizing strengths, and using these to better serve our community together. Sometimes it's even about wearing red high heels and running alongside each other as we try to cross the finish line first, all while carrying an egg on a spoon. To those that run in heels better than I do, congratulations. Many people assume that the library is a committee of council or a department of the municipality. While that is technically incorrect, I do believe that we work well together and we get more accomplished when we do work together. For example, with your support and guidance, we maneuvered our way through the pandemic. That is no small achievement. With your strong and steady lead and through the hard work of many, Canada Day was not canceled, but instead it was celebrated in a different way. Mental health has been brought to the forefront and other important issues were also recognized. Of course, these are just a few examples. Perhaps the most important way you have supported the library is that you have demonstrated that you recognize the importance of and the need for the library as a community hub and a gathering place. And for this, I thank you. And of course, I thank all municipal staff for working with us. Mayor Ostrander, thank you for literally watching over us in a good way. It's nice to start the day off with a wave from the mayor, while at the same time admiring the "I love my library" sign in your window. I'm sorry, but not really, that you had absolutely no privacy. If this council was a book and I could catalog it as I would a book that was being added to our collection, it would not be a straightforward task. You would not fit under one subject heading, and even two would be too few. Of course, you would be tagged under public administration and government, but I also think there would be a place for you under costume and fashion, the red shoes, as well as self-help, because I have learned from you. Browsers could find you under the Brighton history section. And under fine arts, we may tag you under indoor games and amusements, but that's mainly due to Councillor Tadman during the virtual meetings. Thank you for providing so many funny scenarios. You are really. And finally, I do think this tome deserves a bit of a humor classification. Thank you for leaning towards it when appropriate and for allowing me to use it, because when all else fails, we can still laugh. In all seriousness, thank you everybody for all of your support. And I will leave you with a box of smiles in the form of cookies. Please, somebody else needs to eat these. It's only day one. It's not looking good. So here they are. Please share as you see fit.
Well, thank you, CEO and Chair. We appreciate it very much. Yes, usually that's your role, so you must feel a bit jealous now. I'll open the floor to questions of clarification from members of council. Go ahead, Councillor Rowley.
Thank you. I don't have a question. I have lots of answers, but anyway, I would like to give it maybe to the senior councillor, as both Councillor Tadman and I sat on the library boards. So I'll let you talk first, Mary, if you'd like to.
Councillor Tadman.
Yeah, just along with the senior, more wiser too. And I have sat in the library board for quite some time, and it was only through Bob twisting my arm over and over again that we were able to get the expansion done. And I've fully supported that right from the beginning. And I think it's been a great benefit to the whole municipality. And Bob, I don't know what the library board will be like without you, so you might just welcome back. You know you love it. And Heather, thank you for all you do. You've really, really made the library a place that people love to go to.
Councillor Rowley.
Thank you. So probably about 5 years ago, Mr. Burke and I were maybe not on the same page when it came to what was going on in the library, correct, Bob? However, I, having been a council rep for the library board, have gotten to know a lot more. And Bob, I have appreciated all of what you've done for the library. I wish you all the best. It's been fun. It's really been fun. Heather, thanks so much. You've done a great job.
A convert, Mr. Burke, a convert. Well done. Well done to you. Anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor.
That just goes to show once again, the seniors know best. And it takes these juniors a little while to learn.
There you go.
It just shows that juniors have open minds.
Any other questions or
Well, we
comments from members of council? If one has to work in a fishbowl, I can assure you it is wonderful to work in a fishbowl where it is librarians and board members and patrons who wave to you and bring happy birthday signs out to you. So I thank you for that a couple of years ago. I have a motion moved by Councillor Tadman, seconded by Councillor Bateman. The council received the delegation from Heather Ratt, CEO, and Bob Burke, Chair, Brighton Public Library. Any questions or comments on the motion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. With thanks to you both. Madam Clerk, are we aware of any citizens' comment this evening? No? Thank you. So that brings us to staff reports. Our first report is with regard to a speed limit bylaw, specifically Bayshore Road. Mr. Gooding, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight, sir?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Motion is moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Bateman. Council received the staff report regarding speed limit bylaw amendment and that council approve amendment to Schedule A of the speed limit bylaw number 091/2019 for Bayshore Road from a maximum 40 kilometers per hour to a maximum 30 kilometers per hour, starting at approximately 190 meters west of Langdon Lane and continuing approximately 690 meters to the west limit of Bayshore Road. Is there any discussion? I will say that although I think this is widely supported by the residents of Presqu'île in that area of the community, I have had some conversations with people who live in that area who are not entirely supportive of this move. I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. And I think this is only one of many things we should be looking at for speed control and traffic calming in that area of the community. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Oh, go ahead, Councillor Tadman. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I saw some of that correspondence too, but I think the majority wanted it slowed down because of safety more than anything else.
Thank you for that. Anything further? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Next report is with regard to traffic control bylaw amendment, a four-way stop at Baldwin and Queen Street. Mr. Gooding, we've read this report. Do you have anything to add or highlight, sir?
No, I do not.
Motion is moved by Deputy Mayor Connect, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc, that council passes a resolution to amend Schedule A of the traffic signal bylaw as outlined in the report to add a four-way stop control at the intersection of Baldwin Street and Queen Street. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Oh, sorry, Councillor Tadman.
Thank you. I know there's a lot of concerned parents around the times, especially for pickup and drop off of buses. And there is, for whatever reason, and it doesn't coming up even from the water up, people seem to want to speed right through there and on the other way coming down. So I think this is important to keep our children safe. There's quite a few children that get off and all the kids come to that area and then disperse throughout Gosport. So I think it's a good idea to get that stop sign there.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. And how long will it take to put the signs up?
Mr. Gooding.
I believe I'll say early October. We have to wait for locates to come in to place the signs up, but soon it will be sooner than later.
Thank you for that. Anything further from council? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion is carried. Brings us to modernization of transactions report. Director Whitfield, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
No, I do not.
Thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson. The council received the modernization of transactions report as information. Is there any discussion? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. I'd like to see I understand we're just accepting it as information. I just want to give an example for Applefest, who was selling T-shirts and very difficult to prepare an online form where people can buy the T-shirts. It's just very clunky. And I think for many departments, including economic development, there could be more modernization for the municipality. The forms are out there. And it would just be nice to see us be able to offer, I guess, more ease, like even with like the t-shirts, people could go online and order them. We can only order one at a time because we don't have the mechanism in place to be able to actually have a form people can click and then pay, even for the Applefest actual event, being able to pay online. So I accept this information. We certainly are making steps in the right direction. I just think that as a municipality, it'd be good to continue to move forward in that direction.
Thank you for that. And this is just being brought forward as information from staff. We appreciate that. The original motion still stands as direction. I think staff's aware of that. Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor LeBlanc.
Through you, Your Worship, Director of Finance. When you buy stuff on credit cards and stuff, when I do anyway online or the stuff, they charge the seller a 3% fee. Is that calculated when you do that in these purchases? As it's going to go, let's say we go on for taxes or water bills or anything.
Director.
So the municipality right now doesn't accept visas for taxes and water. And the main reason is, and most municipalities don't, is because it costs about 3.62, I think, on average it's 3.5%. And then they take the fee at 3.5% as well. It's really strange. But anyway, the municipality doesn't accept payments that way just because we would have to add that to the payment. And so, you know, if you're already paying $5,000 a year, do you really want to pay an additional 3.5% on it? But I saw, like I wrote in the report, it is possible. The city of Peterborough offers it. And I did check the one provider, and municipality of Brighton is listed there. So people can go on that provider, and we'll put that on our website for sure, so that they want to pay their taxes or their water by, well, I don't know that we can pay the water. We'll have to check into that. But if they want to pay their taxes by credit card, they could do so through that payment system, completely separate from the municipality. They would just reimburse us for the amount of the taxes and keep the fees themselves. And also the forms can be manipulated. They're not easy to make. I think that was the point through the deputy mayor. The forms, we're not really well trained on it, but we do make those forms. And I was looking at them the other day, and we do have the ability that we could do 2 t-shirts at that amount or whatever. So we could work on developing that a little bit more for next year. I think that, you know, when there's a will, there's a way, and we definitely have the will to modernize as much as possible.
Thank you for that. Anything further from members of council? Councillor Anderson.
I suppose you're talking about like a shopping basket. So the way a lot of merchants do it or online does it, it's a basket. You fill it up and one price, right?
Unfortunately, our website's not quite that simple, but
No
yeah,
bad, no
something to
bad.
that effect.
Anything further? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Brings us to the council direction follow-up list. I'll open the floor to any questions on the list before I read the motion. Go ahead, Councillor LeBlanc.
Your Worship, I don't know if it applies here, but in the follow-up list, we were told that Loomis Bridge would be starting this summer. And I was down there this week, and I didn't see any activities at all. Is there any way you could check with the county to see if something was going to get done this year?
I can, but I'll check on a timeline, but the last I asked, they are having supply chain issues, and that is entirely why nothing has started yet. They don't have the product in place yet to begin the construction. Like everything else, I'm afraid. Any other questions from members of council on the follow-up list? I have a motion moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Rowley, that council receive the council follow-up list as information. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? Being none opposed, that motion is carried. That brings us to our motion coming from the September 6th meeting. It's moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Rowley. Whereas attracting primary healthcare providers, including doctors of Brighton and other small communities, has been a difficult task. Whereas the provincial government announced a tuition program to attract nurses to underserved areas of Ontario. And whereas the provincial government is dedicated to reducing red tape. Now therefore be it resolved that the municipality of Brighton Council requests that the government of Ontario amend the rules requiring foreign trained and practicing doctors to undergo strict residency requirements in order to be licensed in Ontario. And further, that the government of Ontario develop a similar tuition program to attract family doctors to underserved areas of Ontario. And further, that this motion is circulated to the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Health, MPP David Pecuniary, and all municipalities across Ontario and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario for endorsement. Is there any discussion? And first, I'll open the floor to Councillor Anderson as the mover.
I think, thank you. I think it's well understood that we need doctors and we need medical help in this area everywhere in the province. I think healthcare is in a bit of a need for all kinds of revamping, and this is just one part of it. The doctor crisis, it is a crisis, and in our area, which we're part of, Docks by the Bay, which I sit on, it's amazing how it's going to get worse maybe before it gets better. We've made some good headway in Brighton and Quinte West for that matter, with doctors, and I think the future does look good. So that's all I can say about that, but we need to keep moving, and I think the province needs to step in. And I know there's maybe some more discussion at the table tonight, because I heard that Councillor Laura has some points that she'd like to make, and I'm open to that, open to hear that.
So I think he's talking about you, Deputy Mayor Connect.
I think so.
I was trying to go connect.
Yeah, I actually have a few things to say on this. I've been looking into this a lot lately, doing a lot of research, because I am actually helping a couple of doctors that are new to Canada get qualified to practice here, and it's a very difficult, long process. And some of the information that I found out that there's actually over 1 million people in Ontario without a family physician. And there are currently over 13,000 IEPs, which are internationally educated physicians, applying for license in Ontario. Yet less than 100 will even make it into residency. And so, you know, looking into more of this, I found out that, you know, people come here with the idea that they can be doctors here because they know that we need doctors, but the road to becoming a qualified doctor to be able to stay and practice here is very long, and it's very frustrating. I would say many of them are driving taxis, and that's not even an exaggeration. That's the truth. The family that I've been talking to and helping, they've gone around and looked for jobs. And when they're asked if they're qualified to work at the grocery store, they said, well, we don't have any experience. Well, they said, well, what do you do? Well, I'm a doctor. Well, they said, what are you doing here? Right. You know, it's a difficult road for them. So in their they recently had a meeting with Health Force Ontario, and she went through the process of what it would take for them to become qualified here. And it includes redoing their residency. And there's many other qualification exams as well, which is good. Of course, we need them to go through this process. But at the end of the conversation with Health Force Ontario, they said, if you really want to be doctors in Canada, you might want to move to another province. So here we have over 1 million people in Ontario without family physicians, and these doctors are being told they might want to move to another province. And to me, that's very sad. It's very frustrating. And you know, if this is the last thing that we do as a council together, I hope we can come up with a solution, or at least put pressure for the province to come up with a solution. I've also been talking a lot to Paula Mason of Docks by the Bay, and she's been wonderful. She's actually actively trying to find both of these doctors work as physician assistants locally. And without her, really, we wouldn't be anywhere. She's the one who's setting up a lot of these meetings and setting them up with the organizations that they need to be set up with, because it is a daunting process. So in our conversations, we said, wouldn't it be great if they could work as physician assistants and that would qualify towards their residency, eliminating that need to wait to get into the queue. So, there's lots of different ideas out there, but I have been doing a lot of reading, and there's a report. I think we all remember a month or so ago that the Ontario government actually asked the College of Physicians and Surgeons to come up with some solutions. They did come up with solutions. There's a report here, a letter that they sent out on August 18th, and it outlines very clearly a way to get there, but nothing has happened yet. And we need the province, the Ministry of Health, to step up and propose change to legislation and to offer funding to make it happen. So I have a request to the mover and the seconder to just amend the motion a little bit to add wording around that, if it's okay if I read that. So it's at the now be it resolved statement. Now be it resolved that the Municipality of Brighton Council requests that the Government of Ontario, and this is when I'm asking that we can remove that and add this part, provide funding and change legislation to allow the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario, CPSO, to implement the changes proposed in their letter to the Minister of Health on August 18th, 2022, which includes exempting IEPs, which is internationally educated physicians, from the regulatory requirement to have a Canadian experience, in other words, redo their residency, where all other requirements are met, and implementing practice-ready assessment programs similar to those already used in 7 other provinces to support the licensing of IEPs who have already completed their training and practice independently abroad. So that's my request. I don't know if everyone's read that letter. I do have a few extra copies if anyone wants a copy of the letter that went to the Minister of Health. I do have them here. And I would just like to see this change because it just puts a little bit more information in our motion. And the hope is to pass it around to all the municipalities in Ontario. So I just wanted to request if that can be added.
Thank you for that. Councillor Anderson, as the mover, would you accept a friendly amendment?
Yes.
Councillor Rowley is the seconder.
Yes, I would.
Okay, thank you. So we will consider the motion amended based on that and based on the wording. I hope you have it in writing. That's good. Members of council, further discussion. Councillor Bateman.
No, I like the sound of this. I'm 100% in favor of it. The only thing I was going to add, at the recent AMO conference, I was invited by Quinty West to sit in on a delegation with the Minister of Health. And during that delegation, she had indicated to the group and directly to Mayor Harrison that this is something that they're currently working on. So this will be a good reminder of something that they're already pushing for.
Good, thank you. Councillor Tadman.
I was going to, and I'm very thankful for all the work you've done on this, Deputy Mayor. And I didn't think, as much as I agree with all of this, I didn't think where you started there, what this was saying was enough. Because in some ways, it just, when you said now therefore be it resolved that the Municipality of Brighton requests that the Government of Ontario amend the rules, and then it goes on and on. So it didn't give that punch that this does. And I think that, we really need to make it specific. So I definitely will support this.
Thank you. Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. And further to Councillor Tadman, I think we made a start. I think this is much better. We need to get our voices out there. The government needs to hear this. Excuse me, as Councillor Bateman said, some of us did hear a lot of commentary around this at AMO as well. I think the Premier brought it up in his presentation. So this was a good way to kind of start this. I know that had more to do with nurses and nurse practitioners, but we need to cover all of this. So thank you, Deputy Mayor. I think Councillor Anderson and I got the ball rolling and you just kind of finished it up there. So we can just move something much better worded to the province. Thanks so much for your help.
Thank you very much. Anything further, Councillor Anderson?
Just to get back to a comment made, the mayor of Quinte West, Jim Harrison, and I discussed this at Docks by the Bay meeting recently. And I told him what we were doing, and he was really excited about this motion. And he asked for it to be shared with them so they could present the same motion with a little bit of a Docks by the Bay twist. And that, I think, is being done right now too. So it did, this motion did help stimulate, and he's going to make sure, or our committee is going to make sure that other recruitment groups also forward such a document to the government as well. So I think this will be widespread, and I hope it passes tonight, and I hope it passes throughout the province, let alone the country.
Thank you for that. Anything further? Councillor LeBlanc?
This is a very easy motion to support. We're all hearing that we're lacking doctors, and a lot of people don't have any when we're going out. And thank you for the amendment, Deputy Mayor. Makes it a lot stronger. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? All those in favor? Any opposed?
Recorded vote on that,
You
please.
sure can. Just going to keep them together. Madam Clerk, a recorded vote has been requested by Councillor Rowley.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Connect,
Yes.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander,
Yes.
and that is carried.
Thank you all. That takes us to unfinished business, a request from Linda Gladman with regard to Brighton stockings and Santa sacks for seniors. It's moved by Councillor Tadman, seconded by Councillor Bateman. The council received the correspondence from Linda Gladman, and the council supports the late application for financial support for the Stockings for Senior program and authorized staff to provide $1,000 to the cause. Is there any discussion? Councillor Rowley.
Do we know if they've secured space to do this? I know that was the initial request
Yeah,
that they,
I think that meeting is this coming week.
okay.
We
so-
deferred it as long as we could, and they still, I don't think they've met.
Okay, so I'm all in supportive of the $1,000 for sure. I'm just wondering, is that going to be covered in their contract with who their landlord will be for the month? Just wondering if she's going to come back for more, that's all.
Yeah, I don't think we can answer that question. Nobody's here, of course, but the request was for $1,000. And my understanding from Ms. Gladman is that it's really needed as a maybe in case they don't get the funds that they will be seeking in the community. And in my discussions with the clerk this week, there's a possibility that we may have a space if the church falls through. It's probably not ideal, but the church would be a better space is what I'm saying. But if in a pinch, I think we could probably manage to help them out. Yeah. Anything further from members of council? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. We have no bylaws this evening. That brings us to reports of advisory committees of council, reports of minutes and council reports. The first is the Applefest Advisory Committee. Minutes of August 9th, and it's moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson. The council received the meeting minutes of the Applefest Advisory Committee of August 9th, 2022 as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. And community events, it's moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Bateman. The council received the Community Events Advisory Committee meeting minutes of August 9th, 2022 as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Economic Development Advisory Committee, moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Rowley. The council received the minutes of June 2nd and June 9th from the Economic Development Advisory Committee as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Accessibility Advisory Committee, moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. The the council receive the meeting minutes of the Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting minutes of June 10th, 2022 as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. Heritage Advisory, moved by Councillor Tadman, seconded by Councillor Bateman, that council receive the meeting minutes of the Heritage Advisory Committee of June 13th, 2022 as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. Now we come to recommendations coming out of the Tornado Task Force that was held on September 15th. And there are a number of recommendations here. Moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc, that the task force recommend to council that the terms of reference be amended to add a Brighton Public Library representative as a member of the task force, and further that the task force accept the terms of reference as amended. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. And it's moved by Councillor LeBlanc and seconded by Deputy Mayor Connect that the task force recommend a budget of $5,000 for the task force to hold an event to commemorate the 1973 tornado, which will include photo and video displays, presenters, and advertising. Is there any discussion? Deputy Mayor?
I just want to clarify that that would be the 2023 budget, correct?
That's correct. What we would be recommending tonight would that it be placed as a bookmark in the 2023 budget for the new council to decide on. Anything further? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. And a motion moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that the task force recommend that council direct staff to restore the fountain and bell in Memorial Park into working order, repair the walkway around the fountain, and refurbish the plaque with the bell. Is there any discussion? Councillor Rowley.
And just to clarify once again for council that the same thing, this is to be considered in the 2023 budget. It's just to give staff a heads up that as they're working on budgets at this point, that they have time and opportunity to research some of these repairs.
Thank you, Councillor Bateman.
No, I'm good. That was the same question.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
And you don't have any kind of a cost estimate at this point, right?
No, that's why the task force made the recommendation, because we had no idea. Anything further? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. And finally, moved by Deputy Mayor Connect, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc, that the task force recommend that council amend the terms of reference to change the name Tornado Task Force to Task Force to commemorate the 1973 tornado. Is there any discussion? And that's entirely because people were thinking this was an emergency planning committee. And some people new to the community were wondering if we had a real tornado problem. So we thought we better be more specific. Anything further? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. We have no reports, minutes of statutory committees, boards, or external agencies, which brings us to correspondence. The first correspondence is from the Brighton Public Library and Dyslexia Canada, with a motion moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor Bateman, that council support or receive the request from the Brighton Public Library and Dyslexia Canada for recognition of Dyslexia Awareness Month by lighting up a municipal building in red for one day in October during the 5th annual campaign, Mark It Red for Dyslexia. Councillor Anderson, this is your motion. Are we supporting or receiving?
We're supporting.
Thank you. Are you okay with that, Councillor Bateman?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. Wondering if we would be lighting up the municipal building, or as in other events, we usually light up the arena because it shows up better. I know we did light up blue for something just not long ago. Wondering if it should be done there.
That was for prostate cancer, and I
Yeah.
would suggest the arena, and I'll look to Mr. Miller to make sure A, he has a red light, and secondly, that he can make that happen. Go ahead, Mr. Miller.
If I might add, we did very recently install a light in the middle of the stage up at Memorial Park. It has the ability to change light colors specifically for maybe these types of requests. Being a centralized location, a municipal building, And with the lighting there, it can shine on the back of the stage.
I'm okay with that.
Works for me.
It's better than the arena because it's in the back, right? So not a lot of people see it.
Any objections to that from members of council? Thank you, Mr. Miller. We appreciate that information and look forward to seeing the stage lit up in red one day in October. Anything further from members? Go ahead, Councillor Bateman.
Same question as always when we do this. I see the CAOs on here. Can we have him ask Mr. Hagerman if he can let the public know on why we have that shining?
Mr. Castleman,
Certainly.
thank you. Anything further from members of council? All those in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. And a correspondence from the Canadian Association of Retired People, Bay of Quinte chapter, moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor Blanc. The council support proclamation request from Louise War, CARP, Greater Bay of Quinte. And whereas CARP is a national nonpartisan nonprofit organization with over 325,000 members committed to a new vision of aging for Canada, promoting social change that will bring financial security, equitable access to healthcare, and freedom from discrimination and ageism. And whereas CARP's mandate is to promote and protect the interests, rights, and quality of life for all Canadians as we age. And whereas the date of Tuesday, October 1st was selected to raise awareness and participate in the newly recognized National Seniors Day instituted by the federal government in 2011 to celebrate the continuing contribution of Canada's seniors. And whereas the contribution of the seniors of Brighton have helped make our, I'm going to change that to municipality with everyone's permission, our municipality a leading age-friendly community in Canada. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Brian Ostrander, do hereby declare October 1st, 2022 as National Seniors Day in the municipality of Brighton. Councillor Rowley, you okay if I change city to municipality?
Yes, as I'm a senior now, you can do that.
Councillor Blanc, you okay as the seconder?
As a senior, yes.
We'll see. We'll see. Is there any discussion on this motion? Councillor Bateman.
Same request as the previous one, if we could just let the public know.
Mr. Castleman, I see Mr. Castleman nodding his head, so he'll make a note of that for the communications staff. Anything further? Go ahead, Councillor.
Of course, I was joking about that, and I am a senior, and after what I see, how our seniors are being handled now when they're in the hospital and shipped all over the place, away from their families and not knowing anybody, I think this whole country's should be, especially this province, should be really ashamed of themselves that people that have given to wherever they've lived all their lives and then in the end not being taken care of. So I've been quite upset about this, maybe thinking of my own self too. Who knows? You don't know from one day to the next. And for $400 a day, who can afford that?
Fair enough. Anything further from members of council? Deputy Mayor.
My mother's a senior and she's here tonight, so I have to support this.
Fair enough. Anything further from members of council? All those in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried.
For Councillor Tadman.
Our next piece of correspondence, or moving on. Our next piece of correspondence comes from Ashley Delaporte with regard to outdoor water fountains and water fill stations. Is moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Tadman. The council receive or support the request from Ashley Delaporte for installations of outdoor water fountains / water fill stations at King Edward Park and Memorial Park. Is this a receive or support, Councillor Bateman?
I'm in support, but this would be like the other items, which should this not go to the 2023 budget?
Yeah, so we can support it and add and refer to the 2023 budget for
Yes, please. Thank you.
consideration. Are you okay with that, Councillor Tadman?
For sure.
Thank you. So I have circled support and I have added and refer the item to the 2023 budget. Fair enough. Anything further from members of council? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Is that who the correspondence comes from, though? It is, okay. Actually, yeah, but the correspondence itself is from a Suzanne. Yeah, okay. So the next piece of correspondence comes from Highland Shores CAS. It's moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Deputy Mayor Connect, that council support the request to proclaim the month of October as Dress Purple Month and permission to dye ribbons in the downtown area. Is there any discussion? Councillor Bateman? I'm guessing you want something about communication. I
Same
just
request
feel
as
it.
the other ones.
Yeah.
As long as we need to let the residents know
Yeah.
why we're doing these things so they understand them. And I'm assuming we have the counselor here on the DBIA that will engage them and let them know and get their thumbs up.
It always works. Very supportive of it.
CAO, you heard that request about communications on this one. Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Councillor Tadman.
I meant to say it earlier, but if, especially the one where we're going to light up in red for a day, I wouldn't want people to think somehow it's a red light district. So it's very good that the communication's going to go out there so people know what's going on.
Well, it is now.
That happens in a different country.
Oh, boy. Last meeting, we're getting punchy. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. The clerk's just advising that she provides this information to our manager of communications for his benefit so that he can push this info out by social and other channels. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Brings us to FYI correspondence coming from the Lower Trent for proposed 2023 fee policy. It's moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Bateman. The council received the Lower Trent Conservation proposed 2023 fee policy and schedule. Public notification is information. Is there any discussion? Councillor Rowley?
Is this something that also should be referred to staff? Will it affect the 2023 budget for Brighton?
I think by just these would be fees that would be paid by agencies, etc. So I don't
It doesn't affect what we do here.
only in that we may be one of those agencies that pays those fees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And that would be incorporated in operational budgets by mostly our public works staff, environmental services staff. Councillor LeBlanc?
Through you, Your Worship, also, it'll also affect new homeowners. If you see some of the new fees, like for new lots, and this is from the cutbacks that the government has done to the Lower Trent. So when they say on one side, affordable housing, build more houses, but then when you look on this side, the Lower Trent has to add more fees and everything to keep in existence, to keep servicing. It doesn't really make sense, because you're looking at almost $6,000. I did rough calculation, about $6,000 to a single lot house. Fees.
There it is. Anything further from members of council? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Brings us to question period. If there's anyone in the gallery or there's no one on Zoom. Anyone in the gallery has questions with regard to an item on tonight's agenda, you may step forward. None noted. Thank you. We have no in-camera session this evening. Brings us to our confirmatory bylaw. It's moved by Deputy Mayor Connect, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. The council gives a bylaw its first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date. Being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Corporation of the Municipality of Brighton Council meeting held on September 19th, 2022. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. And a motion moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that the September 19th, 2022 council meeting adjourn at 7:33 p.m. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Drive home safe, everybody, and we'll see you when we see you.